Beauty of nothing lasting forever. So much of our hanging on and struggle is that we want the car we bought, the house we bought, the something we have to last forever. To not need repair, to not need to be fixed, to not take our money. And yet nothing lasts forever. In a simple way, we accept it with our children. We look and we notice this moment is precious. They're not going to be newborns forever, and they're not going to be one forever, and they won't be a child forever, and then they'll be a teenager, and then they're in college, and then they have their children, and nothing lasts forever. And we understand we wouldn't want to hold them back. And at the same time, we hold on to them, never leaving us. Same thing we do to others that we love. We never want them to be gone or to change too much, too far away. And there's a beauty in nothing lasting forever. We forget to look at the spirit that is within the body. I wouldn't want to trap it in one form forever. That it has certain experiences and then shifts into another form. We wouldn't want it to last forever. And yet some piece of it does last forever. Interactions, growth, awareness, love does last forever. And even as it changes forms, it still goes on. And when we appreciate and allow nothing to last forever, we think, oh, then I won't care. I won't love as deeply. Attachment. I mean, if I'm not attached to it, then what does it matter? Because when we enjoy it, a person, an object, an animal, a plant, a thing, when we enjoy it and allow ourselves to be aware that of course we wouldn't trap it, then we can fully appreciate it, fully enjoy it, celebrate. Knowing that the moment won't last forever, and yet forever is in the moment of allowing, enjoying, non-attaching. Enjoying the house you're in. Yeah, something's going to happen and you're going to have to repair it. Most of the time it's pretty much all right. And feel the gratitude for it. Appreciating its shelter and its characteristics. And the only thing you're losing and allowing is that clinging that isn't real anyway. You can cling all you want, and it's not going to change a thing. It's not going to keep things from changing. So by allowing that, just relaxing with it and letting that go, allows you to enjoy this moment. Not reaching forward, not clinging on, not suffering, holding things together as you want them to be, but seeing the beauty as it is. And even as I say it, a part of me is like, no, but I want to hang on to those I love. I want to hang on to certain ways of being. Hang on to my health not changing. Hang on to things not going wrong. Hang on to people that I love. I feel that desire to not have that change. But that's an illusion. It's a desire, and it feels so real. But it's not a real thing that I can hang on to. So breathe. So what can you hang on to? And then I just feel this state of actually nothing. And can I have peace in this state of hanging on to nothing? And that actually is a peaceful state, because it's the truth. And the truth is always peaceful. And there's this voluminous rise of energy. Just floating. As I let go of the illusion of hanging on. The reason hanging on felt so desperate, it was because it was desperate. Because there was nothing that it could really do to hang on. And just admitting it is relaxing. And there's a peace. And a feeling that once I'm not clinging, I can truly enjoy, because I'm not suffering, saying, no, don't change, no, don't go away, no, don't leave me. Feel how painful those are, and there's nothing you can do. Why hang on to that? I feel powerless though. If I don't hang on to it, then it's like so powerless, because I'm not in control. I'm not keeping things from changing. Well, I wasn't in the first place, but at least I believed I was doing something. And at that point, all I can do is rest into this flow, knowing I'm not in control. But then I don't have to get it right. And I don't have to be perfect. Because I'm not in control. I don't have to make all the right decisions. I don't have to 20/20 hindsight. I don't have to guess and hope I got it right. I get to let go of a lot of that pressure. And letting go, and just in this floating kind of space, there's a joy, or at least a peace and a kind of an excitement, a rising of energy. And it allows me to take the time to really look at the room, to look at the person, to look at what is, and just appreciate it, not clinging to it. Just enjoying it, not restricting it, just enjoying it, not overestimating my role, not overestimating perhaps the ability to control something, to keep it from changing. And then I see the tiny moment by moment changes, where tears dry up and a smile returns. No, I wouldn't want to keep that from changing. It's where someone opens up a new part of themselves and tries something. They hurt themselves along the way, but oh gosh, once they got through it, they were so much more confident. I wouldn't want to change that or stop it from changing. Now, if I could have, I would have protected and thought I was doing it out of love. And I wouldn't have known you needed to experience what you experienced. And I didn't know it until you told me how it changed you. And I realized I wouldn't have allowed that if I could have actually controlled it. And I would have thought it was out of love. And the energy of just relaxing into what is and knowing it's not under my control allows me to be really with you, allows me to be really with myself. And there's a surge of energy, a surge of peace and joy and contentment, letting go of the illusion of control, of sameness, of holding on to things never changing. Yeah. And when I feel just a little twinge of fear, it's just a small part of me that really hoped it could do it. And it's a little afraid of not exerting control. And yet, it doesn't seem to be aware that it really couldn't control. And its struggle and its suffering was just in trying to. And as I accept, of course, wouldn't we love that magic wand? That's a trap. It's like forcing a rose to always be in bloom. Saying you have to always be beautiful. And not allowing it to fade and become something new. Trying to assume control is a lack of awareness. It's a frightened state that doesn't want to acknowledge the flow. And if it's a frightened state, then living in a world without change is living in a world of fear. The beauty is in an ever-changing universe. an ever-changing self, an ever-changing forms. And as scary as it is to say that and move towards the unknown, there's a freedom in the truth of it all. And there's a little twinge of sadness in not being able to control it. And it's just another little piece of fear. The attachment I have to form. And as I fall into formlessness, there is no fear. For that always was, always is, always will be. But really, just always is. Always is. Always is. The always happening before the is. And the is wide open. There's a part of me that recognizes that I'm scared of this truth. That part of me is only active when I'm not being that truth. When I actually exercise being, the truth of it, is peaceful. It's so alive. It's more alive. It's more than living a life of trying to keep things the same. That's not really living. Being in the truth. That I'm not in control. Is relaxing and peaceful. When I step out of that truth is when the desire to control, the attachment, the fear rallies. And that's not living. That is not living. And I can feel my mind racing with fear about, don't say that, because then this might happen or that might happen, or oh, now you might have to really, and that's what's happening all the time when we're in the mind. And you have to focus on just being that moment, and on the center of your being, to hold the space, to allow those fears to roll, to play out, to speak. To allow them to finally say, because they've been trying to control for so long. Control is a man-made concept. It was never true. It was a desire that occasionally had the advantage of power. But has never yet been successful. For who has not died? And who has not changed? And that which has been present continues on. It's interesting because, as I say, being in the place of it, of relaxing into non-control, realizing you're not in control, and falling into the peacefulness of that. My mind says, now that you've said that, you probably don't want other people to hear it, because then if something happens and you have a feeling about it, and it would be like, see, you're not in that space. Like something bad could happen, and then you have to really prove that you're in that space of acceptance. And it runs these worst case scenarios. Maybe you lose somebody you love. Maybe the house does this. Maybe something happens with your health or your body. Like, don't say this, or you might be punished, or you might be seen as hypocritical if you struggled to deal with something. And it's just a piece of the mind wanting to stay in control. Of course, it could be a struggle to accept something. It's part of the process. And acceptance for what is all that is at the time. For if it isn't happening, how can you accept what isn't happening? Only in the moment that something is happening is the ability to accept that. Otherwise, you're just trying to control. You can't say, accept a worst case scenario, because it's a scenario. It isn't actually happening. And it denies the process. Everything's moment by moment. And the energy for each moment is relevant to the moment you're in. The rest of it's a mind game. And when you recognize it's a game or a mind game, that structure collapses in on itself. Isn't it wonderful that things can change? If roses were always in bloom, wouldn't be as special. If roses were always in bloom, wouldn't be as special or as beautiful.